Welcome to On the Other Hand, and a special welcome to these new subscribers and any other new viewers. Since the US election in November, I've heard a lot of talk on the subject of unity and healing. This message, in large part, has been coming from Joe Biden. And on November 7th, right after the election, Biden said this at a speech.
I said at the outset, I wanted to represent this campaign to represent and look like America. We've done that. Now that's what I want the administration to look like and act like. For all those of you who voted for President Trump, I understand the disappointment tonight. I've lost a couple times myself. But now, let's give each other a chance. It's time to put away the harsh rhetoric, lower the temperature, see each other again, listen to each other again. And to make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as our enemies. They are not our enemies. They are Americans. They are Americans. The Bible tells us to everything there is a season, a time to build, a time to reap and a time to sow, and a time to heal. This is the time to heal in America.
I really appreciate this kind of sentiment. I definitely feel that actions have to be backed up with platitudes, but I am very glad to have such talk coming from the now President of the United States. The funny thing to me is when people like Pod Save America have taken this message of unity and healing in a different direction. I might ignore comments like the one I'm going to show, but the channel has enough connections to have interviews with Obama, so I think their views are fairly representative of at least some Democrats. After the riot at the US Capitol in January of 2021, Pod Save America had this to say about calls for unity coming from some Republicans.
Look, I was thinking about this, right? These calls to unity, and it's obviously not being made in good faith, as many have pointed out. Like, was unity your goal when you voted to overturn the election, right? Like, obviously not.
After the
siege. But, after 9/11, unity was defined as embrace our worldview, like we want unity, embrace our worldview. And it feels like after the siege at the Capitol, unity is being defined as like, ignore our worldview, just pretend what happened didn't happen. And, to tell me oh, this base is inflamed. This base is angry. This base has violent elements that we saw on full display. It's been fomented by Trump and McCarthy and Hawley and Cruz. But what is the way out of it, right? And it's, like, when people talk about unity, like, what do they mean? They mean elections aren't viewed as existential, that we argue from a shared set of facts, that we treat each other in good faith and respect each other as, with intellectual honesty, and we don't attempt to burn the Capitol to the ground, right? I think that's like a fair number of things that you would want in unity. If it has any meaning in our politics, it means some version of that. How do you get there? Well, you'll never get there if you don't if you basically allow a huge swath of the country to be completely outside of honest debate about, honest set of facts about, the reality of our situation. No, you have to be honest. You have to start. It is divisive, right? Impeachment is divisive. Why is it divisive? Because right now the truth is divisive. And how do you change that? Well, you change it slowly by being honest over time and being as honest as you can, and hoping that over time the truth becomes less divisive. That's the only way.
Overturning the election is divisive.
Yeah. Pretty divisive.
Asking Joe Biden, and they're all, Joe Biden's their target because Joe Biden campaigned on unity and healing, right? So they all run to Joe Biden to say, oh, stop Nancy Pelosi from this impeachment, But, why do they keep asking us to somehow work to forge unity? Like, what has a single Republican done to bring about unity since this attack or since this election? What have they done?
Because they are the party of victimhood. They are the party of grievance. They always have to be under assault, whether it's from social media or Joe Biden or anything else. And so, that's kind of that's their safe space. That's where they end up. And so, I think you just got to fight through that and call it out for being nonsense. And hopefully the media will help here since they witnessed what happened.
Now this talk of, why doesn't the other side try harder for unity, sounds very much like the type of thing said in a bad relationship. In fact, Viva Frei said as much in a recent video. Viva was covering an ethical complaint that some lawyers made against other lawyers who were representing Trump in election lawsuits, and Viva's opinion is as follows.
An interesting phenomenon I have noticed in life is that when an abuser abuses you, they often try to tell you that they have the moral obligation to abuse you, and that is exactly what is going on in this complaint, in my humble opinion. These lawyers are cloaking their harassment of other lawyers under an ethical obligation to do so as to absolve themselves of the responsibility for doing what they are doing. And for those of you who may not be convinced, let's continue reading this ethical complaint. The 2020 presidential election has been politically contentious. We are loath to wade into politics in this forum. We are loath to wade into politics in this forum. They say right before they wade into politics in this forum, and like I said before, when someone is about to abuse you, oftentimes they justify it as their moral obligation to do so. But let's keep reading, because if you can believe it, it actually gets better. Our concern here is the repeated presentation of utterly meritless claims that have been in the Arizona state and federal courts, including the U.S. Supreme Court, by local and out-of-state counsel, knowing that the cases lacked legal merit and any factual foundation whatsoever. So these cases so lacked legal merit that they actually made it to the federal courts of appeal and the Supreme Court, and these attorneys are saying they so lacked merit that they justify an ethical complaint to the bar. Interesting reasoning right there. But this is perhaps the most classic line from the entire complaint. Confidence in the legal system is seriously eroded when attorneys treat lawsuits as a platform for broadcasting, quote, gossip and innuendo, end quote, utterly devoid of factual proof, as a political stunt. You mean kind of exactly like what you're doing through this bar complaint, going after the president's attorneys because you don't like their lawsuits, notwithstanding the fact that they were before the courts who could have sanctioned them on their own.
This is truly the hard part about unity and healing. In most cases, it means being the better person and showing good faith first, and trying to be the change you want to see. This concept came to mind when listening to a favorite commentary channel, Thor Skywalker, when he was talking about the current political climate in the US.
And as I step back and look at the world today, and mainly the country I live in, the United States, that's the problem I see. Two sides yelling at each other, saying my voice will be heard and you don't understand or care about my troubles. You don't know what it's like to be me, so I'm not going to listen to you. And why should I listen to you? Because your views and beliefs are radical and you want to destroy the country. And I mean, you do realize that the other side thinks pretty much the exact same thing about you. They think you're the radicals trying to destroy the country. And look, I know there are radicals on both sides. Certainly there is. Certainly there are some on both sides or at the far ends, at the extremes, with some pretty messed up views. But not everybody on each side is at those extremes. In fact, most aren't. Not everyone on the right is a white supremacist, and not everyone on the left thinks a hammer and sickle should replace the stars and stripes. And if you actually stopped and just listened, you might find out that the vast majority of people on the right actually hate white supremacists just as much as you do on the left, and that the vast majority of the people on the left hate communism just as much as you do on the right. I know, it's crazy, but most people actually do believe we all, no matter what race, creed, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or whatever else it might be, that you deserve a shot at a good life, and that the world could be a better place for all of us, and maybe it could be if we, tried working together. But if that's ever going to happen, you have to listen, and to really listen, and to even try to care about people who think differently, or see things differently than you, or at least tolerate them, actual tolerance. But it all starts with willing to listen to the other side. And if your only response to everything I've just said here is that they need to listen first, well then maybe all hope really is lost.
Thor Skywalker is a great channel that mostly talks Star Wars, but does general commentary on Sundays. I would highly recommend him for anyone who's interested. When it comes down to it, I applaud Biden's words on unity and healing, and hope the words will be backed up with action. I am also chagrined at the attitude of Pod Save America, and hope that terms like unity will be used in good faith and not used as a political club to get the other side to conform to what you think should happen. Because ultimately, unity is worthwhile, but it takes hard work from everyone. As always, thanks, hope you enjoyed. And if you did, consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you'll get notified for new uploads.